Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pro Football Historian channel. I'm your host, Flynn Given. We will be discussing all Week 7's games and, recap and reviewing and telling you exactly what happened. And tomorrow, then we'll preview Week 8's games. We'll start off with the Thursday night game between the Cardinals and Saints. We did discuss this a little bit in a previous video. Basically, make this game short and talk about this quickly. The Saints, other than the turnover in the first half, played pretty well. It was 14-14 at one point, and then two pick sixes happened. And then there was 28-14 Cardinals. And they tried to, come back, obviously, at the end, but it just wasn't enough. And Arizona moves to 3-4. And the Saints, pretty much at the desperate point, playing the Raiders. If they lose to them, their season's probably over. And this was a competitive game. Browns gave them a chance, gave them a shot. The Ravens, wasn't their best performance. Browns actually slowed down the passing game, especially Lamar. But I think the Ravens were just trying to run in as much, knowing the Browns are not very good in the middle of their defense against the run. And they did fairly okay. It wasn't great, but they just were committed to it. And, they won the game. Obviously, there was a fumble at the end, Justice Hill fumbling it, giving the Browns another chance. And the Browns couldn't do enough. Even with 5 incompletions and decent rushing yards, Browns just weren't on the field that much and just only had 20 points. Moving on, this is a dominant win for the Panthers. Best performance on offense in a long time. And Bucks couldn't really do anything offensively. They've always been struggling running the ball. This was another game like that. And they just rely on Brady too much to throw it around when they're just not connecting really with anyone besides Evans and occasionally Godwin. Godwin had 7 catches, 13 targets, and only 43 yards. And Evans had 9 catches, and obviously dropped the big one down the field. The rookie tight ends are getting involved a little bit more, but still not involved that much. The Panthers just ran down the Buccaneers' throat pretty much the whole game. P.J. Walker made a couple of plays, and that's pretty much how the game went. As we know, the Bucs have issues pretty much on both sides of the ball. Not as dominant against the run. They also had some injuries, not as many as last year on defense, but some. And then offensively, they just a lot of injuries, a lot of different pieces, offensive line especially. And they just haven't been able to click on offense really much of this year. And now the Panthers are actually playing for division lead next week against the Falcons. Talking about the Falcons, this is a game where I thought it was going to be relatively close. I could understand maybe give them a few pass plays and the Bengals winning that way. But Joe Burrow in the passing game just dominated. We'll say Atlanta did stop the run a little okay. But they didn't do much offensively. They were all right, but they were already down so much. When it was 28-7, at that point, Bengals don't care if you get a lot of rushing yards or not. And this is kind of the Falcons just need to play it, somewhat mid to low scoring and run the ball. And when you have to take them out of that, then that's not their strength. And because they let the big pass plays early and, Burrow throwing for 481 yards, they just couldn't really stay in their game plan. They did for the most part, but it just not that much really their chance of winning the game. Come back with the run game. And in this game, Detroit had a few opportunities, a few fourth downs and turnovers, especially down the end zone. And Cowboys even had a key fumble. I'm trying to remember exactly, who fumbled, but, I got Jamal Williams losing a fumble, which, again, I don't know how much was on him. One he got and fumbled, so, yeah, I don't know if he secured it, but I guess you can put that on him. And then Noah Brown had a key fumble in the game too, uh, down in the red zone. So a lot of key turnovers, but Dallas defense pretty good. Detroit ran the ball okay, and that's what you need to do against Dallas at this point. That's their weakness on defense. But they did got a lot of crazy looks. Only 5 incompletions, but 2 of them were interceptions. And I would say Golf had an okay game, but those 5 incompletions were not great. And again, St. Brown got hurt. They had some injuries. And they go to 1-5. And a lot of people had a lot of hope for this Detroit team. I wasn't really one of them, but they did have some offense, and they've been shut down point wise in the last couple of weeks. I think they might have a chance to rebound in the next few weeks. And for Dallas, staying in the division, they're trying to get be because the Eagles and Giants are ahead of them. They're trying to stay in that race. 2 losses, they did beat the Giants, so if they tie them or even beat them down the road during Thanksgiving, they would obviously, through the same record, they would be ahead of them. And then for the Eagles, they lost to them. You play them at home at maybe the last week of the year, I think. So they're just trying to keep pace. You expect the Eagles to lose eventually. So we'll see. In this game, I felt like Jacksonville played better than the Giants, but it's just the mistakes in the 4th down going for it. The Giants played smart. They play the game the right way. They coach the game the right way. They don't chase points. They don't just get what they are given, and that's how they win games. Is teams make mistakes. They know how to play the game the right way and when to push the envelope if they have to. And it was 1 yard away from Jacksonville winning this game, but they again played a zone defense. It looked like, and they gave it. They allowed the catch 1 or 2 yards short, and they tackled the receiver, and they win the game. I know even ETN, I think, had a fumble. But that also took some points off. They could have had a decent lead. I forget when exactly happened, but I thought it was second quarter-ish. Could be wrong, but yeah, that, they could have been up 18-7, or I think it was 18-10. It was around this time. So that hurt them as well. Lawrence played pretty well. It was lying police, but a lot of that was end of the half and end of the game. He played all right, and the stats are not great, but he's looked pretty good. They just haven't had many wow plays, especially from Lawrence. And this game is notable because this is Matt Ryan, the last game probably as a Colt, and maybe even in the NFL. Good chance he gets cut down the road. They obviously benched him. He's also dealing with an injury. Obviously, it seems like it's more of an owner decision. Look, he hasn't played great. They have also not a lot around him that's going well. Run game hasn't been great. They haven't ran the ball that much in this game. And they weren't down that much. But these interceptions were pretty bad. They're not great receivers either, and they have a decent core. It's quality. There's nothing. And Paris came out really shown to be spectacular yet, if he's even ever gonna be. But again, they don't have the offensive line and a quarterback to be able to utilize his skill set. And then for the Titans, they just run the ball. Don't turn it over, and for the most part, that's going to win you football games. Pretty good team holding it. Only allowing 10 points. The 2 losses were pretty ugly, but one was a comeback. Week 2. Basically, there's 2 losses at the beginning of the year. They won 4 straight. They beat the Colts twice. They're in a nice spot, especially in their division. And they still have a chance, in the AFC to, maybe even get a 1-2 seed. We'll see. Might be a stretch, but there's definitely contention for it. This is the game of the Packers really just had the second drive of the game for a touchdown, and then 2-minute offense pretty much at the end. wouldn't say Rodgers played even that bad. Wasn't great, but a lot of drops. They had at least 6, 7 drops, just like the week before. I mean, you could even say it could have been 10. Like there was some of the receivers probably should still get it, but it was deflected or pass deflection broken up, and then they just hadn't. They were just weren't on the field much. And I know the Aaron Jones attempts was low, but to get him in the passing game, some of those are pretty much run plays, and they only had the ball like 50 or some plays, whatever it was, 47, like 47 plays, and Jones is getting 17 carries or 17 times with the ball in his hand, and another in the passing, try to get him in the passing game. So like it's 18 and 47 play. Like I don't really, from the coaching standpoint, like I don't really complain what they try to do. Just a lot of missed routes. Watkins running some didn't block on a 4th and 1. He also ran a streak, I think, on the play, which was not the right route from what I've heard and know. And that that was the play. Rodgers, one of his bad throws from the game where it was low. I know even later in the game he did. It was like more of a sling cast on his thumb, which he looked fine after that, and he made some few pretty good plays even at his age, where he rolling out of the pocket and making a throw on the run. And that was what the second touchdown was at the end of the game. Defensively, they had a few opportunities to get some picks, even pick sixes, and they just didn't. They got the one in the second quarter. Besides that, Heineke after the first half was pretty good. Ran the ball decently. One of the best rushing performances of the year for Washington. That was just some contained plays. Mostly Gary just didn't contain, or even the other guys. And Washington comes out to win. 3-4. They're, obviously division's going to be tough, but they're definitely, their season's still alive. For the Packers, they got to go to Buffalo. We'll see. It's more and more. It's not really a town thing. It's just they haven't been able to execute the last few weeks. It's someone like the Bucks that we talked about, or Broncos even, Colts a little bit as well. Moving on. This game, I'm not a lot to talk about. Zach Wilson's stats aren't great. He's last few weeks hasn't been great, but if you really don't like the statistics, I think he played okay. A lot of pressure, a lot of missed blocks, a lot of free rushers. Now you could say that's some on the quarterback, sure. Other than the Breece Hall run, they didn't really have much of a running game. Breece Hall even got hurt in this game. They didn't, trade for James Robinson. And defensively, they pretty much shut down the Broncos offense, which has been shut down for most of the year. And Rippon wasn't great. People make memes and jokes, but he's not much different from Russell Wilson. Well, I think Russell Wilson could have made more plays. I don't know. He's played this defense before. Jets defense is similar to the 49ers and those teams. Even the defense he played against in practice for a long time in Seattle. So I don't know if he would have. I would assume he would have done more or better, but how much better, I don't know. I don't know if they win this game. If Russell Wilson did play, obviously he was hurt anyway. Jets get, they're 5-2. Good start of the year. Got the Texans now. Just not a great football team. They got 20 points against a pretty bad Raiders defense. But Texans really couldn't stop much. Ground game, passing game, didn't really matter. Especially the ground game. Jacobs just pretty much torched them. And it's been what the Raiders done really well the last few weeks. Texans, other than Pierce, nothing spectacular. Davis Mills did throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Some of it was garbage time. It's what it is. The Texans rebuilding, obviously. Not much more to say there. This game, I would say Seattle pretty much dominated the game. Chargers, turnovers with fumbles, interception, Herbert threw as well. A lot of short passes, 51 throws for Herbert. Not much of a running game. Seattle's defense is not that great either. So it's a little bit surprising from that standpoint. And then Geno Smith and the run game as well, just did whatever they want. Geno played pretty well. I know he had the interception on the second play or whatever. Other than that, man, it was pretty good. Ken Walker looks like one of the best running backs in the league as a rookie. Another dominant performance. 74-yard run at the end of the game to close it. Seattle, 4-3, looking solid so far this year. Exceeding expectations so far. Chargers disappointing loss, but this is a team against the run. They usually struggle with. This game is a lot closer in terms of the Chiefs 49ers. It doesn't look like that in the scoreboard at then, but going in the fourth quarter, it was, or even in the fourth quarter, it was 28-23. Ultimately, it just got away from them. Chiefs are a really good football team. And besides the pick early on, the Mahomes threw in making it pretty much 10-0 very quick in the game. He, really did really well, and the receiving core did pretty good. Scantling had a few big plays. Even Juju Smith-Schuster had a big play. Hardman had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. Then the 49ers, their defense has got torched, even with some guys come returning for them. And Brock Purdy played at the end, garbage time, but Robbo threw a dumb interception after Sky Moore fumbled the punt. And other than that, you got McCaffrey involved a little bit, and he looked pretty good in their scheme. I'm sure he'll play more down the year, throughout the year and down the road. And then Steelers, Dolphins, this really shouldn't have been that close of a game, but Dolphins really couldn't do anything after the first few drives. And after they got rid of those quick slant routes, RPO plays, Dolphins didn't really have much. That's still an issue, I think, with Tua. I don't know if it's going to ever get there. The beginning of the year and the stats just made him look really good, and people were talking about maybe top 10 quarterback, top 15. He's a quality starter. I don't know if he's much more than that. Run game did all right. The Dolphins should have won this game, and they had multiple picks. This should have been a bigger lead, a bigger win. But they let the Steelers hang around, and other than Pickett's dumb throws late in the game, Steelers should have pulled this one out. And lastly, the Patriots-Bears game. It's an odd quarterback controversy kind of going on with New England, but we ultimately know now that Mac Jones is probably going to be the guy. He just wasn't either fully healthy or they didn't like what they saw. And they thought, let's just go with Zappy or whatever, since they were doing well with him. Zappy is what he is. He showed the signs of his flaws in this game. Not the most accurate quarterback. Smaller guy. He's that Case Keenum type of guy. I don't know if he even has that mobility when Case Keenum was in his prime. Either way, Mac Jones did throw a dumb pick, so I understand why they pulled him. But surprisingly, they just got ran on. The Bears' offensive line, the run game looked pretty good, and they got Fields involved in the run game as well. They kind of just pushed around New England, and New England didn't have much answers. And it was a close game, 10-14 at the half, but it just, as soon as the Bears got that first touchdown in the second half, they did not stop, and New England didn't score. So it's not a good way to win games. It's very hard to win games that way. That's all I really got for this game and this week's, recap. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content, and we'll bring Week 8 preview tomorrow.